Hello, and welcome to EUTV Sports Update. We'll be looking at the latest sports news from Evangel University and around the region. I'm Eric Patterson.
We'll also look at college football across the nation and check out the latest happenings in professional sports. I'm Cadence Washam, and this is Sports Update on EUTV. So our Evangel football team is now 4-0. This past weekend they beat St. Mary on the road, so that was really good too. And they're also in the top 25 NAIA coaches poll.
Wow, yeah. And the Chiefs also bounced back this week, getting a win on the road against the Jacksonville Jaguars, so go Chiefs.
Yeah, it's been a great weekend for some football. On Saturday, the Evangel Valor's women's soccer team hosted Kansas Wesleyan, winning their first conference win in the KCAC conference. Mackenzie Calhoun secured the win by scoring twice, and Elise Hershey scored once in the final minutes. Keeper Chloe Hancock recorded 9 saves in goal. The Valor won with a score of 3-1. Men's soccer fell in a match that was won by a penalty goal by Kansas Wesleyan. The Coyotes were not afraid to take any shots on goal and shot several shots in the first several minutes of the game. Keeper Anthony Morales recorded 8 total saves from the match. The Valor fought hard to score a goal throughout the whole match, but fell short and lost 1-0.
This past weekend, the Valor tennis teams traveled to Kansas to compete in the KCAC Fall Individual Championships. Lola Fedorsky played well for the women's team, moving through the bracket until ultimately losing in the first place match in a close competition 8-6. On the men's side, guys like Gabriel Leal and James McElraith won their opening matches, but unfortunately, no one advanced beyond that. Between both teams, the Evangel compiled 11 wins despite only playing on Saturday because of the weather. On Friday, the Valor cross-country teams traveled northeast to Columbia, Missouri to race in the Larry Young Invitational against a mix of Division II and NAIA schools. Both teams competed well, with the women finishing 3rd and the men finishing 7th. The women, led by Macy Kopp, had 4 women in the top 20 as they edged out 2 KCAC conference opponents. Kopp was followed by Emily Harris and Adriana McGregor, who also ran sub-20-minute times in their 5-kilometer race. The men's team was led by Caden McCormick for the second straight meet, as the Valor had 4 runners under 28 minutes for the AK. McCormick ran 27 minutes flat, was followed by Graham Miller, who finished seconds behind him, and Caleb Gamble, who finished close together with Eric Patterson. Both teams looked strong in their second meet of the season.
Evangel football improved to 4-0 this past weekend, defeating St. Mary on the road with a score of 59-42. Evangel is now in the NAIA coaches top 25. Eric Williams scores the most touchdowns in a game in school history and ties for the most rushing touchdowns. Williams had 5 touchdowns total, and 4 of them were rushing. Williams is also recognized this week as the KCAC Football Offensive Player of the Week. Evangel's defense forced 2 turnovers and recovered the fumble punt, each coming at crucial times for St. Mary. Evangel returns home next Saturday, hosting Ottawa.
Yeah, so the women's soccer team got their first win in KCAC conference play. Mackenzie Calhoun played really well.
Yeah, and it's really cool that she was a freshman too, so getting 2 goals on a conference game is really cool. And then our football team is doing really well this season, so that's really good too.
Yeah, good to hear about that. And also the women's team, cross-country team, was 3rd, and the men's team was 7th, so good for them as well.
Yeah.
Coming up next, I'll be here with Coach Brandon Staley to talk about the upcoming cross-country season.
And later, we'll look at some of the most significant college games from the weekend in professional football. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. I'm here with head cross-country coach Brandon Staley. Thank you, Coach, for being with us here today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So my first question I have for you is, how was the transition to coaching cross-country this year?
Yeah, it was definitely a difficult transition last year, having just coached track in the past, and it's not the same sport as track. Cross is very different. A lot of people think it's just running and that it's just a simple transition, but you know that it's not. And it was a lot of fun. It was really exciting. I learned a lot, and I learned to be honest, I learned how to be a better coach, and I got to just experience a totally new sport, which was a lot of fun. But I think we've really all grown from that, and it was a really good time.
Yeah. So you enjoyed the transition.
I definitely enjoyed the transition. Yes.
That's good. So with bringing a new distance coach in the picture this year, how has that impacted the team?
I think it's helped us a lot. I think our first two meets, bringing in Coach Smith this year, we've seen a lot of growth in a lot of different areas this year. Whether that's been from the girls or the guys, we have. No offense to myself or Coach Sock, but we have real distance knowledge in now that really is attacking it head on, and is challenging a lot of our boys to be better and to think about some different things, and kind of challenging just the norms, right? But it's all in a really, really strong and positive way. And so those new views in terms of distance have been good, because she's able to make adjustments that maybe we haven't been able to make in the past, because she can see things that some of our other coaches maybe weren't able to see. So she's really provided a strong boost for both our men's and women's team this year.
Yeah, so tell me a little bit more about Coach Smith and why you kind of brought her in.
Yeah, Coach Smith, she ran at Oklahoma State. She ran cross country at Oklahoma State, and was the head track and cross country coach, or really director of track and cross country at high school for a few years. And so she just had the knowledge that we needed. She brought a lot to the table, not just in terms of running, but in terms of running her own program too. So to add another coach to our staff that has that experience in running their own program just gives us a bigger picture, and helps me grow, because now it's another coach bringing other views and challenging in a positive way of how we do things, and making me think outside the box too, because there's so many other growth opportunities when you have other coaches that come from really strong backgrounds to enable us to grow moving forward.
And so you kind of touched about this earlier, but what's different between cross and track that you think is different?
Yeah, obviously you have a lot more variables in cross than you do track. Track's a flat surface all the way around. It's 400 meters, and we run basically in an oval, circle, whatever you want to call it, for a whole lot of laps and things like that. So that looks a lot different. Whereas in cross, we're evaluating a different course. We're dealing with hills. We're dealing with this. We're dealing with grass. We're dealing with whatever that course may look like. When it's raining, we're dealing with mud. At conference last year, we're dealing with a lot more variables than what we deal with on a track. And so that's the big difference for our distance runners. Obviously, track adds a lot more events, but in terms of our distance crew, it's the changing variables week to week that we have to be ready to encounter from a coaching standpoint.
Yeah. So what are you most excited about for this team, after 2 meets and more meets to come?
Yeah, first off, the women's team is very exciting. Those girls are running really, really strong right now. We think that we've got a really strong kind of core 5 that are performing at a really high level right now. And so we're very excited to see what those girls can continue to do throughout the season. On the boys' side, getting our first 8K in the other day, we've got a lot of guys running really strong. We had a lot of guys kind of ahead of where we maybe thought, or maybe where we were at last year. And so we're ahead of schedule of where we want to be in a new conference. We have high expectations for both the men's team and the women's team to go and perform very, very well within the KCAC.
And so kind of like that, who is someone on both the men's and women's side that stood out to you as far this year?
Yeah, so on the women's side, I think it's hard to highlight one. The couple freshmen, Cadence and Adriana, have done a great job jumping right into things, but Macy has really been an excellent performer in jumping right off the bat and just excelling. PRing twice already this season. She's done a great job. Caden McCormick's done really well on the men's side, jumping out and taking the lead for both weeks there, and performing really, really well for us on the men's side.
Yeah. And so kind of talk about why it's different, but what's one way it can come support the team this year?
There's a lot of different ways. The next few meets, we're kind of out and about. We're going to Chili Pepper, and then we'll be up in St. Louis. And so we've kind of got some distance, but you can always support them by following live stats online and sharing social media type things. When we're sharing social media stuff and we're sharing highlights and posts and those kinds of things for our team, going out there on social media and sharing those things and hyping them up and interacting with them that way, because we aren't always in a place where we can be close and our stuff isn't live streamed all the time, right? So, interacting on social media would be a really helpful way to support those kids as we're promoting and highlighting them each and every week.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being with us today, Coach Daly.
Yeah, appreciate it.
And best of luck for you the cross-country season.
Thank you.
Coming up next, we'll look at some of the college games and upsets from this weekend in the NFL. Stay tuned.
Ranked Kansas State Wildcats traveled to Columbia to face the Missouri Tigers in a battle of two unbeaten teams. In a wild game, it was quarterback Brady Cook that led the Tigers to a victory, throwing for 356 yards and 2 touchdowns after being booed during player intros. Despite the loss, tight end Ben Sinnott kept the Wildcats in the game, catching 2 touchdowns, but it was not enough. Missouri had the ball with seconds left in a 27-27 game, staring down a 61-yard field goal. But Harrison Mevis got redemption from the Auburn game last year as he drills it, sending the Wildcats home and setting the record for the longest field goal in SEC history.
Under the lights on Saturday night, Deion Sanders and the Colorado Buffaloes played at home against their rivals, the Colorado State Rams. A game that has been played up all week between College Game Day and trash talk between coaches did not disappoint. Colorado came into the game as 23-point favorites, but it indeed was the Rams who played like the ranked team, taking a 21-14 lead into the break. In fact, the Buffaloes found themselves down by 11 in the fourth quarter, but they would show resiliency until the very end. With the ball down 8 at their own 2-yard line, Shedeur Sanders would lead a masterful touchdown drive and get the 2-point conversion, sending the game into overtime. Despite a monster game by Torrey Holt, ultimately, the Buffaloes would prove too strong and would win 43-35 in a double overtime, in a game that finished at 1:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. Looking to bounce back on the road against the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Kansas City Chiefs surprisingly started off slow, not scoring in the first quarter, and went to halftime with a slim 7-6 lead. The story of the game was the return of the 2 Chiefs stars. Chris Jones caused Trevor Lawrence a world of panic with a team-high 1.5 sacks. Travis Kelce was welcomed back as he caught 4 catches for 26 yards and a touchdown. Despite the offensive struggles, the Jaguars had a chance deep in Chiefs territory late in the fourth quarter, but they would turn it over on downs, and the Chiefs would run out the clock out from there. The Chiefs improved to 1-1 as they won 17-9.
On Sunday in Nashville during a downpour, the Titans beat the Chargers 27-24 in overtime. The Titans had not won a game since November of 2022 against Green Bay on an 8-game losing streak. The Titans are up 24-21, and the Chargers hit a 60-yard field goal to tie the game up in the fourth quarter. In overtime,
Yeah, so the Monday Night Football games we had last night, we had 2 of them. We had the Steelers beating the Browns, and we had the Saints beating the Panthers. And also, it's really sad, the Browns running back, Nick Chubb, had a really tough injury, so hope praise for him.
yeah, and then I don't know, the Missouri versus Kansas State game was really close the whole entire game. And then Missouri fans actually booed their own quarterback. And in the press conference after the game, Missouri's head coach, Coach Drinkwitz, he actually called their fans out for booing their own quarterback. And so he actually defended his team, so that was really cool to see as well.
Yeah, it's good for him. You don't see that happen very much.
Yeah.
Coming up next, we'll look at the EUTV Sports Player of the Week.
We'll also look at our upcoming games of the week. Stay tuned.
Yeah, it's been a great week for the Valor Sports so far.
Yeah, it has, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how they'll compete this upcoming week as well. Let's go ahead and show off one of our own EUTV Player of the Week.
Yeah. It's time now for the EUTV Sports Player of the Week.
This week's EUTV Player of the Week is Mackenzie Calhoun. Mackenzie is from Taneyville, Missouri. She's a freshman on the women's soccer team. Mackenzie has recorded 4 goals this season thus far. She recorded 2 goals against Kansas Westland, leading the Valor to victory. Mackenzie, as a freshman, is putting the work in to be a key player for the women's soccer team this fall. Congratulations, Mackenzie, and good luck on the rest of your season.
Yes. Way to go, Mackenzie, on these accomplishments. I can't wait to see what she does the rest of the year.
Yeah, especially as a freshman. I mean, she's already putting the work in now, so I cannot believe what she's going to look like in a few more years. Yeah. Now let's go to the upcoming games of the week.
The men's and women's soccer teams have 2 games this week. Wednesday, September 20th versus Friends at home. The women's play at 5 and the men's play at 7:30. And on Saturday, September 23rd, they both play Bethany at home, the women at 12 p.m. and the men at 2:30 p.m.
Football plays Saturday, September 23rd at 6:30 at home versus Ottawa.
The volleyball team plays Wednesday, September 20th at Friends University at 7 p.m. and Saturday, September 23rd at 2 p.m. at Bethany.
Men's and women's golf play Monday, September 25th versus Central Plains at Salina, Kansas. Men will also have a match at Salina, Kansas at 9 a.m. Go Evangel Valor.
Yeah, so we have a lot of different home games to go
Yeah.
to. We have the football team playing at Nixa, so they're playing really well, so I would just go watch them.
Yeah, they're trying to make it 5-0 this weekend, so I think all Evangel should really show up and support our football team this weekend. And then also men's and women's soccer is also at home this weekend, so that's something to go to as well.
Yeah, and we have some away games, so the soccer team and the volleyball team are also in the way, so go watch those.
Definitely. Well, that's all the time that we have for the sports update today. We invite you to check out euvalormedia.com for all the latest Evangel news and media. I'm Cadence Washam.
And I'm Eric Patterson. Be sure to join us next week as we bring you the latest in sports news. For more information on Evangel Sports, go to evangelathletics.com. This has been Sports Update on EUTV.